They used to call him the Prince of Darkness. He was a master political strategist, a guy so influential it was a legendary nickname. But now, that decades-long career is basically on the brink of total collapse, and it's all because of a bunch of newly unsealed documents. Today, we're diving deep into the scandal that has trapped one of Britain's most powerful politicians, Peter Mandelson, and his really troubling connection to the convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein.
So how does this even happen? This isn't just about political drama. No, this story goes right to the heart of some major questions about power, about influence, and about who's held accountable. How does a man at the absolute center of government end up as the target of a criminal investigation over a bunch of emails? Let's break it all down.
So let's start right at the most dramatic moment, the point where this went from a political firestorm to a full-blown legal crisis. This is the moment the police got formally involved, turning a former top minister into a criminal suspect.
Okay, circle this date on the calendar. February 3rd, 2026. This is when the story crossed a line it could never uncross. After looking over these newly released files from the US, the British government handed the case over to law enforcement. And that's when London's Met Police officially launched their criminal investigation into Mandelson.
And this wasn't just a rumor. A high-ranking police commander came right out and confirmed it. And listen to the specific charge they're looking into: misconduct in public office. That is an incredibly serious offense for anyone who's ever been trusted with the power of the government.
But wait a minute, how did it ever get to this point? To really understand why there's a criminal probe, we have to rewind the clock and trace a friendship that went on for decades. A friendship, by the way, that kept going long after Epstein was a convicted criminal.
This timeline, wow, it tells a huge part of the story. So their friendship kicks off way back in 2002. But here's the key moment, the one you really need to pay attention to. 2008. That's after Epstein's first conviction, and Mandelson is sending him emails of support. From there, you can see the connection continues with financial ties and eventually these absolutely devastating career consequences, all leading up to that 2026 criminal probe.
So what exactly triggered this police investigation? It was a series of emails that were, frankly, explosive. The whole case is built on the allegation that a UK cabinet minister was sharing sensitive government secrets with a private citizen who was also a convicted felon.
And it all seemed to start with this one, seemingly casual line. Interesting note that's gone to the PM. That's the little caption Mandelson allegedly typed when he forwarded an internal government memo over to Jeffrey Epstein back in June of 2009.
But that interesting note was anything but casual. It was attached to a highly sensitive, confidential document meant for the Prime Minister. It laid out a potential $20 billion, that's billion with a B, sale of government assets. Now, think about it. At the height of the global financial crisis, that kind of inside info would have been absolute gold.
And you can just feel the anger from the man who actually wrote that memo, former government advisor Nick Butler. He later said he was disgusted, calling it a breach of trust, and saying he believed the whole point was to give Epstein a chance to cash in.
And here's the thing. Investigators are saying this wasn't just a one-off mistake. They're looking at what appears to be a pattern. There's an alleged tip-off about a massive €500 billion EU bailout. There's strategic advice for top banker on how to, quote, mildly threaten the UK Chancellor. And there's even what looks like an early warning about the Prime Minister's own resignation.
So with bombshells like these dropping left and right, you can imagine the political fallout was, well, it was swift and it was brutal. The career that Peter Mandelson had spent decades building just started to crumble in a matter of months.
And the speed of this downfall is just staggering. Look at this. September 2025, he's sacked as the UK ambassador to the US. Just 5 months later, as the email scandal is blowing up, he resigns from his political party. And then, literally hours before the police probe was announced, he quit his seat in the House of Lords. A total and complete retreat from public life. And the condemnation came from the very top. The Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, the same man who gave Mandelson that ambassador job in the first place, called the alleged leaks disgraceful. He didn't pull any punches, adding that Mandelson had let his country down.
Okay, so the political career is obviously in ruins. That much is clear. But what about the legal side of this? I mean, what is the actual crime that the police are investigating? Let's get into the specifics of the charge.
The entire investigation really hinges on this one thing: misconduct in public office. It's an old common law offense, but to actually get a conviction, prosecutors have to check off 4 boxes. 1, was he a public officer? 2, did he willfully misconduct himself? 3, Was it a serious enough abuse of the public's trust? And 4, did he have any reasonable excuse? The whole case will come down to whether they think they can prove all 4 of those points.
And let me tell you, the stakes in this investigation could not be higher. This offense is taken so seriously because it cuts right to the core of whether we can trust our government. And while sentences can vary, the maximum penalty is, get this, life in prison. That just shows you how severe a conviction could be.
So as this police investigation moves forward, you realize the scandal is about so much more than one man's downfall. It really forces all of us to ask a much bigger question about power. Where exactly is the line between a politician's private friendships and their public duty? And what happens to all of us when that line isn't just crossed, but completely erased?